Hello, guys. How you doing today? Welcome to your show, FarmerHubTV, and thank you for joining us for always being part of our show. As we talk about greenhouse farming today, we're going to have a wonderful guest online. He's going to be the one sharing with us the pros and cons about having a greenhouse farming. He's very popular on Twitter, Instagram, and on social medias alike. He's basically known as Sam Sin Prolific. His name is Farmer Samson Ogbole. He's the admin and CEO of Soilless Farm Lab, and he's going to be sharing us with us his experience and expertise about greenhouse farming and also about farming without soil. So like your aquaponics, hydroponics, and all alike. He's going to give us some information and insights into this. We're still waiting to have him on online right now. He hasn't joined us on here yet, but hopefully we should have him anytime soon. So let's just go on and play our intro, and we'll come back to you. Hopefully you'll be back. You'll be here by then. Thank you. Hello, welcome back, guys. Thank you once again for joining us. I believe we have Farmer Samson Ogbole. I hope I pronounced that well. If not, he's also going to let us know about that. Thank you so much, Farmer Samson, for joining us today.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. How are you doing? How's the family?
Very fine, thank you. And yours?
We thank God. Like I said, the show is Farmer Up TV. My name is Ayo. I'm the host on the show, and we're glad to have you on here. Like I said, I introduced you a little bit before you came online, but we also want you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay, thank you. I'm Samson Ogbole, and I'm a farmer who uses technology as a way of growing food in a way to ensure that food production is not seasonal because we understand that hunger is not. So, and the technology that we use at the moment is something called aquiculture or soilless farming. That is a way of growing plants without the use of soil.
Mm.
In addition, some of our irrigation system, we use artificial intelligence to ensure that we have better water usage and waste of water.
Okay. Thank you so much for that brief introduction. So, as our topic for today is the pros and cons about greenhouse farming, and I also know that that includes your aquaponic, hydroponics, which all can be in a greenhouse, right? So,
Yes and no. You can
okay.
put your soilless system in a greenhouse, and
Hmm.
you can also choose not to put it. So it's
Okay.
important that we understand the function of a greenhouse so that
Mm.
it's easier for the audience to decide based on the functionality of this thing. Is it
Okay.
something I need or something I don't need?
Mm. Okay.
If that makes
Uh,
sense. So it's important that
yep.
people know what is the role of a greenhouse. Why
Okay.
was it made in the first instance? So
Okay.
that you are able to decide, is this something I need for what I want to do or
Mm.
something I don't need? Because you realize that most of the disadvantages that stems from greenhouses is from the abuse because people do not know whether they need it or not, but they
Or
just see
not.
others using it
Mm.
and they feel,
Um,
let's log into it.
mm. Wow, that also brings me to my next question. What I know I stay in Canada, right? And I see a lot of greenhouse farming and everything, how it's done. I've actually visited some of it. There's also different technologies like where you actually farm in containers, which is the soilless kind of farming you're doing right now, the vertical farming in containers. So I've seen things like that. So let's bring it back to Nigerian context. Why would a farmer want to go into greenhouse farming back in Nigeria? What's going to be the benefits of me going into greenhouse farming?
I would say I will start from what is a greenhouse farm
Okay.
before we look at what the benefit is. Now, a greenhouse, I'm sure most people have heard of the term the greenhouse effect. Now, the idea of a greenhouse when it was developed is a way to capture heat, to keep the temperature warm.
Yeah.
Now, it means that naturally a greenhouse is made as a way to ensure the place is kept hot.
Mm.
Now, when we say greenhouse farming is because we want to have control over what we call the biotic factors and the abiotic factors. Now, biotic factors are living things that can affect our plant either positively or negatively.
Negative. Okay.
Abiotic factors are factors that can affect our non-living things that can affect our plant either positively or negatively also. Now, when we say biotic factors, we are referring to things like as simple as your microorganisms, as high-ended as your rodents, your birds, even human beings.
Mm.
These are biotic factors. When we say abiotic factor, we are referring to things like temperature, water, light,
So,
humidity, carbon dioxide, oxygen, and so on
mm,
and so forth. All of these things play a role in the growth of a plant, in how healthy or unhealthy the whole growing process would be.
mm,
Now, having said this, when we say greenhouse, greenhouse is like a house for a plant, but
yeah.
there are different designs based on which of the biotic or abiotic factors I want to have control over. That is why I said, so let's say I want to put a farm in Lagos where I intend to grow strawberries. Now, for those
Mm,
that do not know about Lagos, Lagos is not a cold area naturally,
no. Yeah.
but I want to grow a crop that is meant for a temperate region in a tropical region.
Tropical
It
region. Yeah.
means that I need to start thinking, how can I control the temperature? How can I control the humidity? How can I control the liquidity? How can I control the level of carbon dioxide, oxygen, and the rest? Then
Mm,
it means that what I need is a properly enclosed structure such that the environment does not play any role with what is happening in my micro environment where I intend to grow. So,
yeah.
in a design like that, I will use nylon for the roof or glass for the roof and also use nylon or glass for the sides. So,
Mm,
nylon roof,
yeah.
nylon side netting like the wall, or glass roof, glass
Mm,
walls. Now, what this ensures is whatever temperature I want inside, I can get it by bringing in air conditions, fans, and all of that. I can get
mhm,
whatever temperature I want within this micro environment that I have created. Now, when I am doing that, what I have is called a greenhouse because it has given me control over the biotic factor, every living thing, as well as abiotic factors.
factors as well.
But let's say for but let's say for example, I want to grow tomatoes in Lagos, or I want to grow cucumber in Lagos. Now, growing cucumber in Lagos, the temperature is not the issue. For people that have grown cucumber before, they will know that cucumber does not like too much water, especially on their leaves. Temperature in the environment is okay. The light intensity in the area is okay. So I do not need a complete control over abiotic
factors. Yeah.
factors. So I can build a structure where my roof is made up of a nylon or a glass, but the side is covered with just ordinary nets. See the difference? So the side is covered with just ordinary nets. So the temperature outside is what comes in. The humidity outside is what I have inside approximately. Because my problem is not the biotic factors. My all the abiotic factors. My problem is just rain. So with the nylon roof, I am able to control rain. With that, what I have built is called a screen house, not a greenhouse.
Greenhouse.
It's a screen house. Screen to screen. I am screening something out. In a greenhouse, I screened everything out. In a screen house, I am just stopping the rain from entering. Then let's imagine in Lagos, I want to grow amaranthus, that's F4, our local vegetable.
Yes.
The temperature is fine. Everything is fine as it is. The only thing I probably have issues with are insects. So what I need to build is a net house where I just use nets for roof and side. Everywhere is covered with nets, but whatever rain that falls can come in. The temperature outside is the temperature inside. So you realize I have built a structure that works well with the environment.
With the environment, yeah.
So which means I might also have a scenario where I want to grow something and I know that the environment will not have an impact. So I will not need all of these things. So the choice of a net house, a screen house, or a greenhouse is first and foremost, what does my plant need? What the environment that my plant does not need? What can I control it? So, for example, I deliberately came to one of the screenhouse or one of the screenhouses so that I don't know if you can see the nets.
Yep.
In here we have nets of different mesh sizes. When we say mesh size, now when we say mesh size, this is like when you look at a mosquito net. You know, there are tiny, tiny holes.
Yes.
If I zoom in, you will see that the holes on the net from one screenhouse to the next differ. And the choice of the material that we are using for screening the environment is dependent on what am I growing here, one. Two, what are the insects in the environment that can affect what I am growing? So it's not just about what are the insects around. So if the insects around are as big as my thumb, if the insects around are as big as my thumb, then I do not need nets that are tiny, tiny holes.
Tiny holes, yeah.
But when I know that the insects around are tiny, then the kind of net that I choose must be tinier than the tiniest insects so that they cannot come in. So the reason why we have lots of people having issues with greenhouses, and net houses is they are not properly informed before the decision is made. Two, those who are even in the construction, permit my word, I call them cut and nail. They just understand the process. They do not understand the principle.
The principle.
So you just come to them and say, I want to build a greenhouse, and they're like, don't worry, we can do it. They don't even know what you want to grow. They don't know what is in the environment that you are supposed to protect the plant for. Instead, they just give you what they have available in stock. So the number one issue, so your question, so let me come back to your question. I'm sorry, I did the pros of
No, it's okay.
greenhouse?
Yeah, go on.
What are the pros of greenhouse farming? The number one pro of greenhouse farming is control. That is the whole idea. It gives you control over biotic and abiotic factor.
Abiotic
Control.
factor.
It gives you control over the living and non-living things, so that you can prepare an environment that is most hospitable for the plants to get your maximum yield. That is the whole idea of a greenhouse, that I can create an environment that helps my plant produce at optimum yield, maximally. That's all.
Wow. Like you said, information is key. I I
Yes.
I see a lot of, you know, I'm now it's taking me back to a lot of things I've even seen here, back here, US and everything. That I would think they are greenhouses, but they actually screen out houses, like you said. And it's like I'm like, wow, right now I'm like, oh, okay, that was a screen house, not a greenhouse. Because if you don't know, you don't know. That's one of the reasons why we have this show, that we're trying to bring someone like you on the show to educate farmers on how to do things the right way, to, you know, get them. I've been on your Instagram page like all night, trying to like get more information and things about, you know, what's happening there. By the way, guys, if you want to check out Farmer Samson's Instagram page, his handle is Samson Prolific, and go on there. There's a lot of information on also how to get in touch with him, and also the website for the company, I believe, is www.sfarmlab.com. So it's
Yes.
Soilless Farm Lab.
Farm Lab.
That
Yes.
Yeah, that's the name of the company, and that's the website as well. And also his contact number is plus 234-8080-231911. I believe that's still the right number.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay, so guys, as you're watching us, thank you so much. We have about 400 plus people live right now watching us, and thank you all for joining us. I'll be very happy if you guys can either ask questions or make comments, so that I can relate that back to Farmer Samson as well. And let's move now on to, because the greenhouse is a whole lot topic on its own. It's something that we're really going to dive into, and I know you do have an appointment before now, so I won't want to keep you for so long. Let's go on to soilless farming. So what do you mean by soilless farming for a layman?
Yeah.
You understand? Assuming I'm not a farmer and I come to you, I hear about it and I'm like, oh, okay, I want to get information. Well, how do you explain? How do you say I'm going to farm without the soil? How is that possible?
So, so I would explain it in the layman term to make it make sense.
Yeah. Yes.
For non-Africans, I'm sorry, I don't know if they experience this. Growing up, we cook with firewood. As civilization came, now this was the point. We cooked with firewood. At some point, firewood became stove. Stove became gas cooker, then electric stove. Now, the point was, the guys that developed firewood to the level where we now have electric cooker and all of that understood the fundamental thing needed for cooking. The fundamental thing needed for cooking was heat. So whether you are using firewood, gas, a stove, an electric cooker, as long as heat is produced, whatever you put on top will get cooked. It does not matter where the heat comes from. Now, it also means that if I am going to remove soil, I need to understand what is the role of soil. Once I understand the role of soil, just like easily remove whatever firewood stove or whatever, as long as I can provide heat. That is
Yes.
the idea. Now,
Mm.
soil traditionally has three rows or three functions. Traditionally, soil has three functions. The number one function of soil is to support the plant, to give structural support to the plant,
Structure.
to give the plant a place to put its roots.
Mm.
The second function of soil is to help retain water, to hold water, to help retain water. That is the second function of soil.
Mm.
The third function of soil is to help in aeration, for air to be able to pass.
Wow.
These are the three basic functions. Now, to explain this in layman terms that we would understand again, I remember back in primary school days, we were told that there are three types of soil. We were told there is sandy soil, there is clay soil, and there
Sandy
is
soil.
loamy soil.
Clay soil. Mhm.
And we were
Loamy
also
soil.
told that the best kind of soil for growing, we were not told why. Excuse me. Now, if we look at the three characteristics that I listed, support the plants, retain water, help in aeration, let's use
Aeration.
these three characteristics to judge each type of soil. If we
Mm.
take the sandy soil, you know that from experience, the sandy soil cannot support the plant, cannot hold the plant properly. The sandy soil cannot hold water,
Mm.
but the sandy soil will allow air to pass.
To pass
So
through.
it means out of the three characteristics needed for you to be called soil for planting, sandy soil only had one.
Mm.
When we move on to clay soil can support the plant, it can hold the plant firm,
Mm.
the root of the plant firm. Clay soil can hold water very well, but clay soil will not allow air to pass. So, out of the three characteristics, clay soil can only perform two.
Mm.
But when it comes to loamy soil can support the plants,
Mm.
loamy soil can retain water, and loamy soil will allow air to pass.
Mm.
Once we have understood these characteristics, in soilless farming, what we are simply doing is looking for any other material that can play these same roles,
Mm.
but it is not soil. So once you can think of any material that can play these three roles, practicing soilless farming. That is all.
Mm. Wow. It's amazing, when I talk to, my guest on the show, because there's a lot of information that you think but you actually don't. And I'm so grateful to have you on the show. And thank you for what you're doing, because like I said, I've been browsing through your Instagram page, all night, just trying to, wow, I didn't know this exists in Nigeria. So if you think we can't do it, it does, it's happening in Nigeria, like I said. We have someone like Farmer Samson, who is, making things happening, soilless farming, which you would think that it's only done in the Western world. And also, I'm going to touch base on your project where you try to, how do I put it, the logistic part of things. What's that all about? I like have been on your Instagram page. You provide. Let me just go zero hunger. What's that all about?
Yes, so we believe that one of the reasons why why food is expensive in the market is because of number one, the seasonality of food production.
Mm.
Number two, the fact that production is not predictable. And you realize one of the reasons why there is seasonality in food production is because production is because we depend on climate to produce. So you hear things like, it is rainy season, let me go and start planting. Oh, it is dry season, we cannot plant and all of that. Now, what this simply means is, if there is a time we can plant and a time we can't plant, then it is only normal for foods to become expensive at some point in the year.
Yeah.
But if we are able to produce without depending on season, it means that the cheapest that produce can be in a year can become the regular price of that food. Is that simple? Yeah. The cheapest. So everybody who, at least Nigerians, understand that there is a time that when you say you are broke, we are able to buy tomatoes cheap when it's in season.
Yes.
But if we can grow these tomatoes without depending on season, it means that the cheapest that tomatoes can be in a year becomes the regular price of tomatoes all year round. Where I am right now, to a time it will become 50 naira, 100 naira, and then unavailable. But if we can produce without depending on season, then that maize can be 10 naira all year round. That is number one. Number two, you realize that farmers, when it comes to production, there is a whole lot of, again, for the listeners or viewers, I'm sorry about this, but I have to say it, there is a whole lot of agriculture backed by prayers among local farmers in African countries. And the reason for that is they have forgotten that in school, the topic was not called agriculture. It was called agricultural science, which means the tilling of the field that is dependent on science. And when the science is low, the prayers will be high. Because now you are substituting prayer for things that science should have done. And for a farmer, let me give you a practical example. A typical Nigerian farmer gets about 5 to at most 10 tons of tomatoes from an hectare after cultivation. Meanwhile, our brothers in South Africa can get as much as 60 tons. What that simply means is, for a local farmer to get the yield of a South African farmer, they need to cultivate ×6 of the land, put in ×6 of the money to try to meet what they are doing. But with soilless farming, you are able to bring in predictability because it is founded on science.
On science, yeah.
On science. Then number 3, we are able to close the loopholes where money is lost. Let me give an example. I'm glad you say you come to Nigeria every now and then.
Yes.
You will agree with me that there are many farms you visit and they are still using hoes and cutlass.
Oh yeah, definitely.
For that to make sense, let me put it in a way that the viewers will understand. To visiting a community where they are still using donkeys and there are no cars. If to visit a bank where they are still using ledger and they do not have a single computer for anything. Is the equivalent of visiting a school where they are still using feather to write instead of a biro or a pencil. Because hoes and cutlass existed in the era where those other things I mentioned existed. But every other sector has moved. Technology has taken them to increase efficiency and reduce redundancy. But somehow, agriculture has remained with the redundant tools.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
Yes, it does. A lot of sense.
And what that simply means is there is no efficiency in cultivation. There is no optimum yield being gotten. And what that simply means is, if the tool that, let me put it this way that might make sense again, if we have a bank today that, let's imagine there is a new bank that opens up today and the bank decides to use strictly ledgers, you will agree with me that they are not going to have many customers, even if they have any.
Oh yeah.
Now, for a farmer to pick up a tool that was used in 60s, in the 50s, is to have a yield of the 50s and the 60s, which means the money they are going to generate will be the income of the 50s and the 60s. And by the time you bring in, what's it called, inflation, devaluation of the naira, that means they are going to remain perpetually poor.
Yeah.
Because what they are producing was good for then, but not good for now. And in an era where we have a whole lot of shout around, let's bring people into agriculture, let's bring youth into agriculture, there is no amount of propaganda that we do it. Because like I always say, there was no advertisement done for people to come into banking sector or oil sector.
No.
When those in the sector started having good life, everybody saw a vision to join that sector. So if the tools do not change, if we do not change the tools of the farmer, then the economic level of the farmer will not change. And vis-a-vis, the security of food will remain as it is or even get worse. So when we say zero hunger, it's a holistic view, not just about the farm, but about the farmer's knowledge, about the tools that they need to adopt, and the fact that they must run it like a business, not like an inheritance, not like a charity. So when we say zero hunger, it's not just about, oh, I am planting and harvesting. No, it's much more than that. That we must break the cycle of seasonality. We must bring back science to the forefront of what we want to achieve. We can no longer keep science at the back bench. No. And let me also add this. We cannot start with the science of the old. We must start with the science of where the rest of the world is today.
Is right now.
If I want to buy a phone for my child right now, I am not going to say, do you know that before that we had landline? After landline, we had Turaya. So let me first buy you landline. No. If I need to buy a phone for my daughter today, I buy the recent phone. Meaning, if we are going to correct agriculture today, we must pick up recent technology. We don't need to go through the whole history of how the technology evolved before. No. So yeah.
Wow, that's so wonderful. Like I said, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an inspiration. I'm a fan already of yours, and I'm always going to keep in touch and keep seeing what you're doing. And hopefully when I do come home, or my colleague Tunde, will be able to come to the farm and actually do a video shoot on there, see how everything is being done, and so that we can also let the viewers see it live and all that. Before I go, I just want to touch base on something. So what exactly, you see, it's soilless farming, like you said. You have another, you're trying to provide a different way not to use. So is it hydroponic? Is it aquaponic? Is it what exactly are the other methods that you use?
So hydroponics we have 8 different types of hydroponics, from deep water culture, floating system or raft system, nutrient film technique, practice system, aeroponics, flood and drain. I use every of the technologies. I do aquaponics and hydroponics.
Wow.
For me, what is important, one of the things I have learned to do is something I learned back in the Netherlands called ABCD, asset-based community development, which means when you see a principle that works somewhere, don't just do copy and paste. Rather than copy and paste, look at the asset around your environment, see how to replicate the same thing, but using locally available assets. So asset-based community development. So with that, what I try to do is, there is soilless farming of growing plants without soil. There is a way of using so and so method as a principle. Okay, where I am in Ogun State, where you are going to put a farm in Kogi State, in Kaduna State, in Kano State, what are the assets readily available that we can use to achieve the same purpose? Because for 2 reasons, when we use locally available assets, the price drops.
Yes.
Number 2, the adoption rate goes up. because now you are using materials that are locally available to the people. So they see this as what Yoruba we call tiwa ni tiwa,
Tiwa.
and it is easier for them to replicate
Yes,
and say,
that's
okay,
true.
now we can adopt this, replicate it
Mm.
easily because this is like our thing to achieve.
Mm. Wow, wonderful talking to you. I know I keep saying it over and over again, but when you see, when like you said, when you see something good, it's best to appreciate it. You're doing a wonderful job, and to me, I wouldn't even believe
Thank you.
something like this is happening back in Nigeria. You understand? Because but I've learned to from the show. The more I talk to people, the more amazed I become and see how people are doing things on their own without the support of the government. Because I know it's something we don't easily get back home. That support needed and everything, and it's so amazing. So like I said, guys, if you want to get in touch with Farmer Samson, is social media handle is at Samson Prolific. I believe that's both Twitter, Instagram, and I'm not sure
Yes, it is.
Facebook, but I know Twitter and Instagram because I've checked that. You can get in touch with him on there. And the company is Soilless Farm Lab. The website is www.sfarmlab.com. And their contact number is +234 8080231911. So do get in touch with him. You can see the wealth of knowledge in there, and I'm sure he's going to be willing to help you guys. From Samson, I would want you to just give us your last word. This is not
Yes.
going to be the last time I'm going to be talking to you because I'm still going to be asking you to come on the show again. But I don't want to keep you for too long because I know you have other engagements prior to this. So just give us your last word and
So,
let-
thank you. As a party word, I would say when it comes to food security, we all have a role to play. First, we must take responsibility on how we consume food. I always say this: if you are not going to cook it, don't. If you are not going to eat it, don't cook it. And
mm,
if you are not going to cook it, don't buy it. Then number two,
mm,
we must be responsible enough to stop what I call food discrimination. Whether the fruit looks ugly or looks fine, at the end of the day, the nutritional content is the same. So we all have a role to play. Then number three, everybody should have a garden, grow something. We are not
mm,
saying grow everything you will eat, but grow one vegetable, let your neighbor grow another vegetable. That way, when we all grow something, it reduces the pressure on the farmer to grow everything for us. They can
mm,
focus on crops that are not so perishable while you grow your own perishable foods at home. And together we can ensure food security. Finally, let me not forget to say this. Finally, let's also take note of what we throw into our dustbin. Every time we
yeah,
throw food into the dustbin, food in the dustbin, we are wasting the farmer's efforts. We have wasted the transporter's effort, the logistics guy's effort. We have wasted our money. So we must take responsibility that every time I throw away food, I am wasting multiple people's efforts. Thank you.
thank you so much. Well said. I remember growing up, my grandma used to you dare not even throw away food. If you must finish it. And that, up till now, if you give me a portion, I finish it, even if I'm not, I'm fed up of it. I still finish it up because that's how I was brought up. And so it's a wonderful saying. Thank you so much for being on the show once again, and thank you for joining
Thank
us
you.
and explaining things to us. Like I said, I hope I'll be able to have you on the show once more or as many as I can. I'm going to say thank you to Farmer Point for joining us on the show, and a comment as well, which is on the screen. And okay, he actually asked a question. I don't know if you still have time to to answer that. He wants to know what
Okay,
are the
what are the
variety.
varieties of crops done through the science of hydroponic farming? You can
There
grow
you go.
any crop without soil. However, you need to look at the economic aspect of it. So if I want to grow, for example, pawpaw without soil, will it grow? Yes. But question, does it make economic sense? No. That's why I said we must look at it
Mm.
from the perspective of the what's the word now? The business.
The
So there
business
is
part
the
of it.
science, there is the business.
Mm.
The science ensures you optimize your every input. But much more than that, you also need to look at it from the business sense. Not every scientific breakthrough is an economic breakthrough. So as a farmer, we must be able to balance both. What
Mm.
scientific breakthrough gives me an economic edge? Except you are into research that you just after the scientific breakthrough, the latest scientific technology. But as a farmer, we must remember that this is a business. It's not a charity organization.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much. I hope that was a good answer for you, Farmer Point. Thank you, everybody that joined out on the show.
Thank you,
Also
sir.
going to have some Farmer Samson's contact scrolling at the bottom of the screen, so that in case you want to get in touch with him, and you should see it in the scrolling text there. And before we go, I do have livestock enzyme. I don't know if you know about them. They actually just wanted me to say something little about it, so I'm going to play that video, so that before we go on here, just give me a minute. Are you looking to supplement grass feeding and grazing for your animal, or you're looking to improve the overall health and growth of your breeds? Check out Livestock Zyme. It's going to help increase the meat and milk production in your animals. Contact Livestock Zyme at www.zenithenergyenzymes.com, and their phone number is +234 803 349 2090. Livestock Zyme. It's going to help you a lot. Remember, let's help support our local farmers. All right, there you have it on there. Livestock Zyme. Do check them out. It's not a sponsored they didn't sponsor the show or anything like that, but we just wanted to have them on the show. And thank you guys once again for joining us. I'm going to say thank you for everybody that thank you to everybody that joined us on the show. Margaret Ogundekwe, that's my mom, Farmer's Point. Thank you for joining us. And also we have uh Per Day Farms as well. Saying thank you to Farmer Samson as well. He's left because, like I said, he has a prior engagement to, before coming on the show. And we do appreciate everybody. It's also a record-breaking show as well, because we had almost about 400 plus people that joined us live on the show as well. Thank you to everybody. And if you do want to be part of the program, do like, subscribe, and share. And also click on the notification button, so that you'll be able to get notified anytime we're coming back on there. So I'm going to leave you our whole last word, which is no farmer, no food. And do make sure that you support your local farm. It's very important. And then we'll come back to you next week, same time, with a new guest on there. I'm going to once again say thank you at Sam Prolific, Farmer Samson Ogbole, of Soilless Farm Lab, for joining us on the show. We're very grateful. And stay blessed and do have a lovely weekend. Cheers.